All right, hello, commanders. It's been a while since I've uploaded anything to YouTube and for some time. I'm hoping to go through with you guys on what this Dockyard is for World of Warships, the PC version, and if it's worthwhile for you to drop the doubloons for the ship, and if you're gonna have time to be able to complete all the necessary missions to get yourself the Tier 10 Wisconsin. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks again for watching, and appreciate you guys. Oh, one other thing. Sorry, before we get into it, an update. Since I haven't posted anything on YouTube for such a long time, I have been streaming on Twitch for the last year, and now I've been restreaming over to YouTube, so you can find the content on live on YouTube and also on Twitch now, so you guys can catch my content there. Thanks again for watching. All right, so Dockyard. So in the past, there's been quite a few ships in the past, including Puerto Rico, Anchorage, and Hyzen, Marlborough, even Province to 7. Essentially, what it is you're going to be able to build a ship anywhere from tier 8 to tier 10, doing various missions throughout each week. It's not quite the same as like a battle pass. It's not quite the same as the Admiral Backing. It's actually really close to the Admiral Backing for console, since you have to go every week and complete these missions. So the Wisconsin is basically going to be an Iowa class battleship, but it has some special features that we'll get to it in due time. What I really want to focus on, though, is how long you have to try to complete the Wisconsin. The event actually ends in 90 days, and you may not have the full 90 days to complete all of your missions. In fact, you only have 62 days, which is about a month and 2 days to complete your missions, but the event itself will be open for 90 days. This gives you roughly 30 days to, just in case if you're short like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 modules away from picking up the ship, you can still throw some doubloons at it and be able to complete it. So first off, what you will see at the beginning here is the phase completions and the rewards for each one of those phases. You will see that you will get West Virginia 44. This is not West Virginia 41. This is a modification of West Virginia. It is a Tier 7 U.S. battleship. That will be at phase, I believe, 10. But the ending phase you'll see is the Wisconsin after, I believe, 30 phases of building. Each one of these phases, you'll see the construction from the keel all the way up to its gun turrets and then going out to being open port and as such. You're going to be able to see these details on each one of the weeks that you complete your missions, and you will be able to claim each one of these rewards each time that you complete these missions. The rewards vary from boosters, steals, permanent camouflages, ships, coal, and of the like. And usually you can be able to use these credit boosters and such for grinding other ships as well. So at level 20, you get the West Virginia 44. If you already have the West Virginia 44, you will be compensated with 3 building orders, which I will come back to in a moment for that. And then after that, if you complete all 30 of your building orders, you will have the Wisconsin. You are presented with a couple starter packs at the beginning. If in the event that you do not do the starter packs, you will be left with 28 phases of building orders, and you'll be short 2. If you want to complete those last 2 at the very end of the event, it will cost you 4,200 doubloons. They offer you a starter pack of 2, which is 3,200 doubloons, saving you 1,000 doubloons first. Now, the thing about this, though, that only gives you the last 2 phases. This requires you to complete all of the weekly missions prior to the end with the Wisconsin, to get Wisconsin. You may or may not have the time to do that, depending on how you play the game. Or what you could do is you can get the 2 phases for 3,200 and an additional 9 phases for another 12,000 doubloons, saving you a lot of time. There's a phase that I have on my channel a lot of times. Time is money, or in this case, doubloons. If you don't have the time, you're probably going to have to use the doubloons to pick it up. Or if you have the time, it won't cost you much doubloons to get it, but it costs you a lot of time to do it. So my suggestions, if you don't have a lot of time to do this, because maybe you're full-time, maybe you put more than 40 hours a week into a job, you have a family, you're not gonna be able to finish the Dockyard as easily as you think you would be able to. I'll come back to those missions here in a moment and break it down for you. But here are the 2 starter packs. Once you start building the ship, these starter packs are no longer available. I'll repeat that. Once you start building the ships, the starter packs are no longer available. So you have to determine if you want to do just the 2 phases and grind the heck out of those missions, or get 11 phases and be done with it about halfway through there. So these are the 2 phases here. Let's take a look at the actual missions. Combat missions. You're going to find them under Dockyard here, and you will see that each one of these phases are only available for 62 days total. And the very last missions are open up in 18 days, 1 month and 18 days, and generally have about a week or 2, not even maybe 2 weeks to complete. So after each one of these weeks opens up, you're going to be able to complete them. But once you get too far along here and you get the last week is open and you're like maybe on week 4 or 5, you're likely probably not going to be able to finish week 8 at the very end. So that's where you're going to have to try to judge how much time you have. And this is where I present you with the amount of missions that you have. So a lot of these missions are shoot down aircraft, get incapacitations, get destruction ribbons, do a certain amount of damage to ships, maybe even do 800 ribbons, 1,000 ribbons. Usually the first 3 or 4 weeks are actually fairly easy. It's actually the 5th week or longer when it becomes really difficult to try to get them done in a due time process. In week 5, 40 spotted ribbons can be done in carriers, 50 torpedo hits, 15 capture assist ribbons. Most of these can probably be done in co-op battles, cannot be done in scenarios, not for the capture assists. 9.5 million credits, okay, if you put some boosters on. 200 aircraft shot down. 30,000 base experience on week 5. 30,000 on base experience for week 5 for just one of these, but it's not a requirement. It could be something that can be bypassed if you like. Set on fires, another 25,000 base on there. It's week number 6. 5 achievements can probably be done in regular matches easily. 20 citadels, co-op battles. Top 5 co-op battles could probably be done. 4,500 ribbons. Okay, a lot of DACA going on, right? 1.2 million spotting damage in carriers. 42 million potential damage in a battleship. 30 million potential damage in a cruiser. 30 million. Help your team cause 500,000 damage in a destroyer. Or help your team do spotting damage 450,000 in a submarine. Week 6. Week 7. 180,000 damage doing to spotting or flooding. 250,000 commander's experience. Okay, a couple boosters. 50,000 free experience boosters. Okay, got it. 325 spotter ribbons and carriers. 45 destruction ribbons and battleships. Again, 12 capture assists and cruisers. 24 capture assists and destroyers. 210 torpedo hits and submarines. 2,500 base experience in one match in scenarios. Not scenario, random or ranked. Now, last, 3,000 ribbons. Here is the caveat that I want you guys to focus on. This is a building order. Means it's required. 60,000 base experience does not open for another month and 18 days, and you have about a week and a half to complete. That's what I want you guys to focus on. That one right there is a requirement for the ship. 60,000 base experience, right? And you have about a week and a half to do it. Now, I know asymmetric battles are going to be available. I know scenarios are going to be available. All that good stuff. All right, so this is just some of the missions that are required for each one of these weeks. A lot of times when a Dockyard ship comes around, if it's tier 8, usually the missions are pretty easy. When it's tier 9, they get a little more difficult. This is a tier 10. Means that it's going to be put a lot of effort into it. I will let you guys know, if you're a casual player, like you play warships like 3 times or 4 times a week for only about an hour or two, maybe a lot of co-op battles, you're not going to get this done. If you're a hardcore grinder, if you play like 7 days a week, maybe for 2 hours or so, yeah, you'll get it done. If you play warships once or twice a week, not going to happen. That's my honest opinion. This comes back to the time that you have. If you think you have the time to do it, go for it. If you don't think you have the time for it, you're going to have to put the doubloons into it, get your 11 building orders, get done with it about halfway through, and each additional mission you get is 200 steel or 250 steel. That's my honest opinion right there for you guys. Some of these missions are going to be very grindy, especially at the end. And if you put yourself into a situation where you threw a bunch of doubloons at it, but you're not going to be able to complete, you're probably going to have to throw more doubloons at it in order for you to complete it. That goes back to the question of, do you want just your 2 or do you want your 11? Now, let's come back to the West Virginia 44. Some of you guys had the opportunity to pick up the West Virginia 44 in the past, which is right here. If you have the West Virginia 44, you will get 3 of the building orders already. So that means if you buy the starter and you pick up, if you already have the West Virginia 44, that means you've already taken care of 5 of the building orders of the 30. That means you can probably skip out in the last 3 of the week or so. Hallelujah, you may not have to do the 60,000 base experience, all that good stuff. Now, if you do have the West Virginia 44 and you don't go with any of the starter kits or so, then you're going to be able to get the Wisconsin without having the starter kits. But you're going to have to still grind out, 30, 20, 28, 27. 27 of the missions, so you might still be able to pass on the 60,000 base experience. The reason why I keep coming back to this base experience thing, it's kind of tough to really gauge how quickly you can get through base experience. Here's a little graph right here on when you finish up a match. Usually what you want to look for is this number that's right after your ships and the amount of ships that you've killed, and the basically the number that's in this column. This is your base experience. So base experience is a multiplier of how well you did. And if you won, you do better. If you lost, you don't do as well. And this is the amount that is given to you before bonuses. So basically, if you try to put bonuses on like your commander, your experience, credit boosters, or anything like that, base experience is where it's the base. This is the bare minimum experience you got for this match. And then everything else on top of that is extra for all your bonuses that you get applied to. So when a mission says 60,000 base experience, it's this. What you get raw out of every match. This will be lower on your co-op battles. It'll be higher on your ranked matches. And it'll be an average for your regular matches. Where can you find this on your own profile? If you go to profile and you go to summary, if you have random selected here, you're going to see your average base experience. You can barely see my mouse over here on the right hand side. You're going to see experience right here. So it's the 4th one down on the average results per battle. Mine is 1,872. So my average experience is 1,872 per match. This is random. If you were to try to figure out how much you do in co-op, select co-op, and then go back here, and you'll see my average experience in co-op is 655. Why am I bringing this up? It really depends on how quickly you can get through that base experience and how well you do on ships. If you decide to do a lot of co-op rounds, it's going to take you a long time. If you do regular matches, it's still going to take you a long time. By like, how much are we talking about? Well, if my average is 1,872 experience, and let's say I get 4 matches in an hour, my experience is 1,872 times 4 My average experience is 7,488 per hour. So we take 7,488. Sorry, hold on. 60,000 base experience divided by, let's just do 7,400. Approximately 8 hours. So I gotta sit here approximately 8 hours in regular matches to hound out 60,000 base experience. It's not bad. It's not bad. What if your average was just say 1,000? So you're at 1,000, you get maybe 4,000 experience per hour, right? So 60,000 divided by 4,000, it's gonna take you like 15 hours of regular matches. What if your average base experience is 800? 800, you're only getting 3,200 base experience out of it. 60,000 divided by 3,200. Yeah, it's gonna take you 18 hours, maybe 19 hours to do. If you do it in co-op, it's even lower. There's only two areas, or a couple areas that I think that this is not going to really reflect accurately, is scenarios, asymmetric battles, and any other type of blimp mode or anything that they decide to do. So if you pump out your scenario battles, take your average experience, you're going to have to kind of take a look at those on your own, keep track of them on your own, and see how much base experience you're getting out of those. Keep in mind that a lot of scenario battles cut those stats in half, meaning like fires and ribbons and such are usually only half counted toward your missions on the dockyards, or even the other missions for that matter. But when it comes down to raw base experience, usually it's not cut in half. You can kind of tell on that when you actually go back to your missions here. When you look at the combat missions. Hold on, I gotta minimize some windows. So if I were to take a look at our first missions here, when it has this little thing right here, it says gauge mission progress. What this means is when you run operations, this particular number is cut in half. So if it's asking for 10 shot down aircraft, technically you need 20. Here for incapacitations, if you do scenarios only, it says 20, you need 40. 20 destruction ribbons, you need 40 in scenarios. 1.2 million damage to ships, you need 2.4 million damage done in operations. Now, when it comes down to raw experience though, for example, let's go back to our 60,000 that we're looking at. This one right here. Scenarios are not cut in half, because scenarios generally give you anywhere between 600, 700 to 1,500 base experience, and those are usually not cut in half. But what is cut in half after that though is ribbons, destruction ribbons, anything that actually has a solid number to it, the amount that you need to get, that is cut in half for operations. And from there, so that's basically kind of the rundown that I have input for you guys as how much experience that you guys can be able to earn for the Dockyard. Does it feel like it's grindy? Yes. Is it meant to be that grindy? Yes. Because really what it does is it kind of separates those that are into the game really hardcore kind of guys that can really grind it out. Then they're not going to necessarily have to pump out very much doubloons for it. But for those that really want the ship but don't have the time to do all the grinding, then they're going to have to put doubloons toward it. So it comes back to what my saying is, time is money. You're either going to have to put the doubloons out to get the ship, or you're going to have to put a lot of time into getting the ship. There's really no way around it. That is the basic truth for the ship. All right, so that's this part. What we're gonna do for the next part is we're actually gonna be able to watch this be built, and yeah. So hope you guys understand everything so far. Let's go ahead and purchase the starter pack. It's gonna give us 2 building orders, and off we go. You could hold down your right click on your mouse if you want to see the ship being built. Let me change screens real quick for this. There we are. And then that's the first 2 building orders right there. You can be able to take a look. And let's go ahead and collect reward. 1 million credits, 7 days premium. And we still have this one available too. This is going to be 9 phases. It's on top of our 2 already. Let's go ahead and purchase this one as well. It's going to give us the rewards that we have here for each one of those building orders. Let's go ahead and do it. Remember, hold down your right click and you can be able to watch it being built. For those that do not have the West Virginia 44, if they're able to get up to the building order provided, then yes, the West Virginia 44 will become basically everybody's freebie tier 7. In fact, you can get it without actually throwing doubloons at the Dockyard, because it'll be available for missions. The ones that you're going to worry about is the actual Wisconsin itself at the end, because if you do not do the starter kits, then you're going to be short 2 building orders by just the missions alone. If you already have the West Virginia 44, then you'll be given 3 building orders, and that does not include the starter kits. So if you've already bought the 2 starter kits and you get to the West Virginia, you'll be getting 3, which puts you up to +5 on your building orders. Not quite +5. If you do the 2 starter kits and then you still have the West Virginia, then you'll have 2 additional building phases that you're going to be able to get steel for. All right, so we're at phase 11. We're going to go ahead and collect rewards, and then from here, those are your 2 starters, and I am going to go ahead and complete this one. Now, I can do each one individually if I wanted to, but we're going to go ahead and go all the way up to at least this one, West Virginia 44. I already have the West Virginia 44, so we're going to be able to get the flags, the coal, the steel, all the boosters, all that stuff. It's going to cost me $18,900. It's not going to cost me any difference on discount. It's still going to cost me all the way up there no matter how far I go on it. There is no additional discount for each additional phase that you buy now. Only the starter had the discount that we started off with. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to do the next 9. We're going to hold down the right click and be able to see it being built. Well, we're going to find out here. We're going to go right up to the West Virginia. Let's see if it gives us any additional building orders. We should be on phase 13. If you don't do a right click, you can actually see your phases kind of move up as well. You can always zoom out. You can flip around the camera too to the other side. It's really quite cool though for yourself to be able to see and check out like each module as it's being put in, even from like the engines, the boilers, the turbines, the ammunition kind of rooms and stuff, and then all the quarters too, which is kind of crazy to just see being built as well. There's a lot of intricacies in these massive ships. So many different layers too. Did we pass it already? No. Okay. And we have a new phase on the building. Hit often. Look at that Halsey in the back. Oh. So we're at the West Virginia level 20. Did we? Oh wait. If you already have West Virginia, you'll receive 3 as a compensation. Building completely responds to the number of shipbuilding phases. Automatically complete the corresponding number of shipbuilding phases. Collect reward. Ah, there it is. There you go. It is already building the next 3 phases for you. As soon as you collect the award. Ooh, look at those turrets. Alright. So we have collect reward. Those are the 3 phases for already having the West Virginia 44. So I already had the West Virginia 44. Now I did the first 3 of the next 3 phases. I'm going and collect them. I guess since we've done this already, essentially if I complete this with doubloons, it's going to cost me less doubloons now to complete it all the way out because of those 3 phases. For me as a community contributor, I already have the ship for one. They credited me the ship. But since I have recruited so many in the past, in the years prior, I have a stockload of doubloons that have stockpiled for a while. So a lot of times, as tradition for my dockyard, I go in there and build it all the way out. I build it all the way out since I have the doubloons available. Most of those doubloons come from new recruits that purchase items for their own accounts. And since I am the recruiter, I get a 10% commission off the doubloons. Anybody can do that. If you recruit new members to the community and they buy something with doubloons or even containers, the recruiter gets a 10% credit in doubloons every month for that. So what I do is I build out the dockyard. Here we go. Last couple phases. You can see in the background too, a lot of times like the warehouses and stuff will change. And you'll see like different forklifts and stuff and stuff around. You know, sometimes I think you might actually see the signs change as well. $29. And there she is. You have completed 30 shipbuilding phases and can obtain Wisconsin. Alright, well, again, I already have the Wisconsin, so I was just basically credited some doubloons for it. But for anybody else that does not have the Wisconsin already, you should now have the ship. And then we're going to pick up all of the additional boosters too. These red boosters are really good for grinding. By the way, has a huge amount of basically boost to your account. Well, there it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed our rundown on the dockyard. What you're going to be able to do is I'm not necessarily going to play here on this particular video for YouTube here. I just wanted to make sure to kind of go through for you guys on how much basically grinding is to do for each one of your dockyard missions. And I remember I want you guys to go through each one of these to see like how much time you're going to have to be able to put aside on your daily basis, on weekly basis, and up to the next 3 months for you to get the credits and to get the ribbons. But ultimately, though, I want you guys to focus really on the base experiences. So one of these right here, this is a required building phase for you, and it requires 60,000 base experience. It does not open for another month and 17 days. Again, if you guys are trying to figure out your base experience, take each one of your matches here, go to your team score, and you will see a number on the side here like this. This will tell you how much of your base experience you are getting per match. And then you can kind of calculate how much base experience is required. My average is about 1,875. We do 4 matches in an hour. That's about 7,500. So if you were to take 60,000 base experience and divide it by 1,750 or 7,500, it'll take me roughly 8 hours. 8 hours to do 60,000 base experience. So that's what basically what you want to know. You need to look at to see if you're going to be able to complete the Dockyard on just the 2 starter kits, or will you need to purchase the 2 starter kits, the 2 phase starter kits, and the next 9 starter kits ahead of time, so that way you can get a kind of a head on the building phase itself. Usually when you do 2 and 9, so 11 phases, and if you have the West Virginia 44, you will probably complete the Wisconsin at approximately week 5, maybe even early as week 4. So then you don't have to worry about 6, 7, and 8 weeks. They will be all extra, and if you complete the Dockyard with any extra phases, meaning that if you basically keep continuing to get missions cleared, you'll get 250 steel, and if you're part of a good clan, that'll be additional 25 steel, 275 steel for each building phase that you do. That's the rundown for you guys on YouTube. Thanks again for checking out. If you're able to afford to do the Wisconsin, you can check out the streams over on Twitch, twitch.tv/highfire, HYF1RE, and also now here on YouTube at youtube.com/HYF1RE. Thanks again. Take care.